Yeah, there should be sheets that you will have. Ellie will put on the chat after if we don't get them during the cheer. But to talk to you about a major theme in this week's parsha, and that is Shabbos and Yantif, Parshas HaMoadim. There are three major Parshas HaMoadims in the Torah. One in Vayikra, one in Bamidbar, and one in Dvarim. Vayikra we have here in Emor. Bamidbar we have in Pinchas. And Dvarim we have in Re'eh. Each one has a different focus. Right? The one in Emor focuses on the Ma'aseh Mitzvos. Most of them. We have Sukkah and Lulav and Chag HaMatzos. So, Sfiras HaOmer. In Chas, we have the Karbanos Musaf. That's most of that's what it's famous for. We read the Musafin. Shofar happens to be there too, but that's generally Musaf. And finally, Re'eh is the context of Aliyah L'Regel. But each of those are the Parshas HaMoadim that appear at length in Vayikra and Bamidbar and Devarim. So we'll talk about this one, and we'll basically just try to answer a question at the beginning of the section of Perchav Gimel. The Torah starts off and tells us, "Vayidaber Hashem Moshe Lemar, Apel Bnei Yisrael V'Marta Lehem." Speak to Bnei Yisrael. Hashem tells Moshe, "Moadei Hashem Eshet Tikru Osam V'Gorei Kodesh." These are the Moadim. Elahei Moadai, and we expect to have the Moadim. So if you would ask us, what would be the next pasuk? Probably either Pesach or Rosh Hashanah. Right, one of those two we would expect to see right here in the next pasuk when the Torah says Elahim Moadai. But instead, we are surprised to see Shabbos. 6 days work shall be done. On the 7th day of Shabbat Shabbaton, Mikra Kodesh should be a gathering of holiness called Malacha Lo Sasu. Shabbos is in the Parshas HaMoadim. And then it's fascinating. As if the Torah knows, I'll tell you when we'll start the sheets. We'll start the sheets in a couple of minutes. As if the Torah knows that it's unusual that Shabbos is included. We have another introductory pasuk in pasuk Daled. These are the Moadim. And then we start off with Pesach, as if there's a false start, as if there's an offsides, right? These are the Moadim, Shabbos. Oh, wait. These are the Moadim, Pesach, Shavuos, Sukkos. Right? What's the message? What's the Torah trying to tell us? That Shabbos is here, Shabbos is not here, Shabbos is supposed to be here. So Rashi already picks up on this. Rashi already tells us, Ma inyan Shabbos eitzal moados. What is the connection? And by the way, any part of this shear is, first of all, if you ever have to give a shear anywhere, a short shear, a longer shear, take part of this because it's going to be about Shabbos and about Yom Tov and about the relationships between them. So really, it's like a back pocket shear. Usually we don't have so many back pocket shiurim, but feel free to use any part of this. Besides the fact that it's Divrei Torah for this week's parsha also. But the Rashi asks, what is the connection? What is Shabbos doing here? Rashi is bothered. It's to teach you. If somebody violates and desecrates the holidays, Moadim, they desecrated Shabbos. And anyone who is Mekayim the Moados and fulfills them, they kept Shabbos. What is Rashi driving at? Shabbos and Yantif are some kind of team, it seems like. Shabbos and Yantif work together. Shabbos and Yantif, you can't have one without the other. What exactly is the message of Rashi and of the Torah putting Shabbos and Yantif together? So we'll start off with a couple of points not on your sheet, and then we'll get to the more extended idea on the sheet. Number one, Moshe Feinstein in the Drash Moshe, right here on Parshas Emor, says maybe the following is the pshat of Rashi. Nira bebir hadvarim. Shabbos harayu tachlis ha'emuna b'brias ha'olam. Shabbos is b'maisa bereshis. That's the ikar of Shabbos. He mentions Zeichel Yitzias Mitzrayim also, which is a mystery how Shabbos is that. But the ikar of Shabbos, let's call it, is to remember that Hashem created the world in 6 days, rested on the seventh. Tachlis emunah b'brias ha'olam. Umitam zeh, and that's why if somebody is machal Shabbos chas v'shalom ki l'kofer b'ma'aseh bereishis. Shabbos is about brias ha'olam. Yantif moados u'ha'emunah sha'Hashem yisbarach manig es ha'olam kula ba'atzmo. Yantif is about God's constant involvement in the world. And Hashem is involved. He took us out of Mitzrayim and He gave us the Torah and He surrounded us with clouds of glory. Yantif is about hashkacha. Shabbos is about bria. Yantif is about hashkacha. Umishadei des hateva kirtzono latzalas Yisrael. And Hashem rejects the teva. Tolachein kisher hutzrach ligolosan u'mitzrayim. That is why when Hashem wanted to redeem us from Egypt, He took us out of the Akavod. Yom Torah, and the Torah is teaching us by putting Shabbos in the parsha of the Moadim, Shez Rav Moshe, she'emuna b'chatzi davar eino klum. Half belief, nothing. If I only believe that Hashem is the Borei, not the Manhig. I believe that Hashem created the world, but then I believe that Hashem is a busy God and He left, so then that's not emunah. Or the opposite. If I believe that Hashem is involved in the world, but God was also created. See, I read the Torah. Bereshis bar Elokim. In the beginning, something created Elokim, chas v'shalom. I believe in Madig and not Borei, that's also chatzi emunah. We learned this year. Davar v'lo chatzi davar. We learned that in Cheskaz Abatim. That's called the chatzi davar. And Shabbos in the Moadim, what's Rashi telling us? If you keep one, you keep the other because it's a package deal. It's a package deal. We need to believe in Bria. Hashem has the Borei, and Hashem has the Manhig. That is the beautiful thought of Rav Moshe right here. L'chein kishemechalas hamoados nechshav kemechalas hashabbosos. Im yamid Hashem yisbarach manhig ha'olam ach sheyit lomar shelo bara'ohu l'acheirim o shenivra kam zman kodem hayadu alanu ukeinu mamin kam banagaso. Because each affects the other. If I don't believe Hashem created, it minimizes Him even as the manhig. If I believe that He created the world, and He's not the manhig, and that minimizes even His bria. So it's a package deal, says Rav Moshe, emunah in HaKadosh Baruch Hu on both planes. Number one.
Maybe I'm mistaken, but we say only by Shabbos that you're kofar bakol if you break Shabbos. Are you considered kofar bakol if you break Yom Tov?
That's a great question. The Gemara in Chulin seems to say that it's only by Shabbos. If somebody's a mumar l'Shabbos, they're a mumar l'chol Torah kula. They're considered a heretic for all the Torah. There is a question about Yom Kippur. There's a question about Yom Kippur. I don't think it applies to Shabbos. Let me just see if I can look up the Rambam, if I can find it for a second. If not, I won't look it up now. Mumar Lavodah Zara. I can't find it now. I'll look it up after. Samura Avodas Kochavim. Mumar. See where it is in the Gemara. I'm just looking for the little letter. That right. Okay. So to answer that question, the question you have to say maybe it's a package deal, but there's step one. And Hanhaga builds on Bria. And if you don't believe in Bria, so if it's one or the other, which half is a worse half to be missing? Say it that way. But you're right. You're right. It could be that Shabbos has a little Hanhaga part of it too. We also say Shabbos is Zechel Mitzrayim somehow. But it's a good question. I'll think about it. Think about it more. Okay, that's one idea of Rav Moshe. There's a second idea about what Shabbos is doing in the Parshas HaMoadim. Why is it here? And that's suggested by two of the great Achronim on this week's Parsha. Suggested by the Pri Tzaddik, Rabbi Tzadok. Rabbi Tzadok was nifter in 1900. Rabbi Tzadok. And Rav Soloveitchik, who was nifter in 1993. 93 years after Rabbi Tzadok. But they both say, you know what the Torah is trying to tell us here? Yes, Shabbos and Yontif are unique, but there's an element of Yontif in Shabbos too. There's an element in Yontif and Shabbos too. What does that mean? Shabbos is Kriya V'Kaima. Shabbos is, right, Shabbos doesn't move. Doesn't matter if somebody screams, right? Like the famous joke of the Rebbe, right? Two people are talking, my Rebbe is greater than your Rebbe. And then one student says, my Rebbe was so great, we were once walking and it was pouring. And it was raining over here and it was raining over there. And where my Rebbe was, it wasn't raining. And the other Talmud says, yeah, well, my Rebbe is even greater than yours. My Rebbe was once walking. It was Shabbos over here and it was Shabbos over there. Where my Rebbe was walking, it wasn't Shabbos yet. Okay, I guess he held a later's mind. But either way, the Shabbos is Kviya V'Kaima. Shabbos doesn't move. And if Shabbos doesn't move, what does that mean? Yontif, we create Yontif. Mekadesh Yisrael V'Azmanim. So what do you mean there's an element of Yontif in Shabbos? So they both say, and maybe it's not fully true. It is true. But there is an element that a Jew could be Mekadesh Shabbos. It's not purely from Hashem. We could add something in our behavior as well. The Pri Tzaddik's facet is the whole week. I just said before that in this Corona age that we're living in, it's hard to know what day it is. The only way I know what day it is saying the Yom in the morning. But that's part of a mitzvah. I remember Shabbos every day, Yom Chamishi b'Shabbos. Revi'i b'Shabbos. We don't call it Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So every day we're sanctifying Shabbos. When Shabbos is, that's not up to us. What Shabbos is up to us. And that's an element that Shabbos shares with Yontif. Yontif has the when and the what that we decide. But at least Shabbos has the what. Yesh Mikra Kodesh, the words Mikra Kodesh, says the Pri Tzaddik. Mikra Kodesh means a gathering of holiness that we declare. B'nai Yisrael call it. We even say it, those who sing Zmiros, first Zemer. Makadesh Shvi, Karoi Lo. Right, the first, whoever is sanctified. What do you mean, Kol Makadesh? Who's that talking about? It's talking about people, not talking about Hashem. Kol Makadesh Shvi. Anyone who's Makadesh Shvi, Karoi Lo, Schara Harbe Ma'od. Api follow. Schar is very strong. And that's why Shabbos is in Moadim too. Shabbos is in Parshas HaMoadim because there's an element of Shabbos that it shares with the Moadim. We could feel that anywhere. You don't need the Pri Tzaddik because you don't need a Beis HaMikdash for that. There's no Aliyah Regel when it comes to Shabbos, which we'll talk about. He says, B'chom Moshvoseichem. Shabbos can be felt anywhere, and we add our own element. Rav Soloveitchik, in his own way, this is in one of the Yartzeit Shiurim. Every third day of Shvat, Rav Soloveitchik gave a Yartzeit Shiur for his father. Thousands of people used to come. Gave at least 4 to 5 hours was the Shiur, right? And the 2 hours, the first half was Lumdis, and the second half was Machshava. And people used to sit, thousands of people. My father tells me to just sit there, not move. They had the two major auditoriums in YU were full, overflowing. That's the and the Yartzeit Shiurim, a lot of them are printed. Shiurim L'Zecher Rabbi Mari. At least the Lumdis part of it was printed. Anyway, if Soloveitchik quotes a Gemara, that's a parallel to Kiddush. The Gemara says that we know when we have a B'char Behemoth Torah, when we have a firstborn, we discussed this. We discussed Pidyon Ben in the first parak. B'char Behemoth Torah, it's an automatic carbon. Firstborn sheep, automatic carbon. The Gemara says mitzvah lahakdisho. There's a mitzvah to be makdish it. There's a mitzvah to say harezeh b'char. What do you mean there's a mitzvah to do it? I don't do it. Remember we did that Taz? Taz says there's no bracha on B'char Behemoth Tahora because you don't do anything. Pidyon Ben, you do something. By Eter Chamor, you do something. There's no bracha. Remember that, I think, Shin, Chaf, Aleph, I think it was, in Yeridea? Taz says there's no bracha because it's automatic. The Gemara says mitzvah l'hakdisha. What does that mean? Even if something is automatically kadosh, there's an idea of adding my own element to it. If I could add my own element, my own hosafa, to the experience, so that itself adds to it. And that's what Kiddush is. What do we do by Kiddush? Mekadesh HaShabbos. Yeah, Hashem does it. What are we saying Kiddush for? Because we add our own element. We make Shabbos a different experience by being Mekadesh HaShabbos. And again, he says that's why it's in Parshas HaMoadim. Because it shares that element that the Jew can also do something. We can't change or affect the when, but we can affect the what. And that is what is alluded to in the fact that the Torah puts it in Parshas HaMoadim and then has another introduction because the Torah does acknowledge that it's different. It has another Vaydaber Hashem al Moshe Le'mo- it has another Eila Mo'adei Hashem, another introduction. But it shares something with Yontif. It shares the what, if not the when, and that's why it's there. Okay. But maybe a third idea about the relationship between Yontif and Shabbos could bring us to some of the sources that we're going to go through. Shabbos is called the Matana, twice in Shas. Twice in Shas, the Gemara tells us that Shabbos is called Matana Tova Yeshli Bebeis Genazai. Shabbos is a special gift that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives to Am Yisrael. Or in Shabbos Daf Yud, it's Tezayin. Right? It's called a gift, Matana Tova. The question is, why is Shabbos called a Matana? Why is Shabbos called a Matana? Yontif is a Matana. Right? Sukkot is a Matana. Pesach is a Matana. Why is Shabbos called the Matana Tova? So the Aruch HaShulchan points out, if you think about it, this is now on your source sheet. Ellie, if you want to put it up, you don't have to, but you guys want it up. It's source number 3. The Aruch HaShulchan says, in the beginning of Hilchot Shabbos, that I like seeing everybody's face, so I'm just selfish. But the Aruch HaShulchan there in source number 3 says that if you think about it, Sukkot theoretically couldn't have been given to any other nation. Does it make sense that Sukkot wasn't given to the Greeks? Yeah, because Sukkot is about a historical experience that took place that they didn't go through. Does it make sense that Hanukkah was not given to the Greeks, that Pesach wasn't given to the Egyptians or the Persians? Yeah, all of these make sense. There's no Havamina. That Pesach, Shavuos, Sukkot, which has to do with the historical events of the Jewish people, weren't given to other nations. Shabbos, Zeichel L'Ma'aseh Bereishis. Shabbos is uniquely nothing. It's for all of mankind. Hashem created the world in 6 days, rested on the seventh. So really, Shabbos should have to be observed by all of Am Yisrael. And yet, it's exactly the opposite. They're not allowed to keep Shabbos. Umos ha'olam. What does that tell us? Shabbos is a matana. Shabbos was given to us because the HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves us. And that's what we say every Shabbos morning. Yishmon Esrei. We say, V'lo nesato l'goyei ha'aratzos. V'lo enchalto l'ovdei tesilim. Hashem, thank you for not giving Shabbos to the other nations. We don't say something like that on Yontif. Thank you for not giving Pesach to them. Of course you don't give Pesach to them. Thank you for not giving Shabbos to them. Because Shabbos you could have given to them. It makes sense. You still give it to us because Shabbos is unique. Shabbos is special. Shabbos represents the special relationship between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's even an amazing thought. I've mentioned this before, but I put it in again. You don't have to scroll to it, Eli. I'll just say it outside. If you look in the last page of this packet, you'll have it. Who says it? Let me just quote it by name. I want to bring the Geula. Shem Shmuel. Shem Shmuel says, where we say, at the end of Shalom Aleichem, we say, Tzeis L'Shalom. Right? Tzeis L'Shalom. Why Tzeis L'Shalom? Shalom Aleichem, you welcome the Malachim. Lachem L'Shalom. Archun L'Shalom. What's Tzeis L'Shalom? Why do you want the Malachim to leave already? Explains the Shem Shmuel. Malachim come in, they accompany us to the Shabbos table, and then, you know what? We say, Malachim, even you have to leave. Because this Shabbos table is yichud between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's just the two of us. Even the Malachim can't be privy to what happens on Shabbos between the Jews and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's Shabbos. Shabbos is a special matana. Let's try to analyze a little bit halachically what the experience of Shabbos is, and then we'll relate it to this experience of what Yontif is. That's where we're heading with this in terms of the larger thing. There is, though, one line I forgot to mention. The Chassam Sofer always discusses. Interesting, they always count down to what you're excited about, right? We're kind of got to Sfiras Omer. They always say for last, generally, let's say somebody has 3 scoops of ice cream. They probably eat what they maybe take a little bit of what they like most first, but they usually save the best for last. You want to savor it. It's interesting that the day of rest in the outside world is the first day of the week. the day of rest for Ami. So really, now the whole world has 2 days off, right? Saturday and Sunday. But really, even 100 years ago, there was only 1 day off. Saturday was a work day. Saturday was a work day, right? Remember in the 100 years ago in New York, they said you don't come to work on Saturday, don't come to work on Monday. Saturday was a work day. Sunday was the only day off. So Sunday is really the first day of the week. So all the other nations, they rest in order to work. Sunday, and then the rest. We have the opposite. We work in order to rest because the goal of life is Shabbos. The goal of life is what comes at the end. The Gemara in Brachos, remember the Gemara in Brachos? 5 things. I think it's 5, maybe 6. 5 things that are 1/60th of something else. Right? Shabbos is 1/60th of Olam Haba. A dream, death, fire. But Shabbos is 1/60th of Olam Haba. That's the goal. The goal of life is Olam Haba, as the Metzilus Yesharim says. So Shabbos is 1/60th of that experience. So what is the experience of Shabbos? So it's fascinating. Let's continue learning. But there are 4 halachos in the Rambam. If you turn the page, I'm not going to do every source. Here, the Rambam tells us in Hilchos Shabbos, in source number 6, the Rambam tells us that there are at least 4, we'll focus on 4 aspects of Kavod Shabbos. 4 aspects of how do we fulfill the mitzvah of Kavod Shabbos. Says the Rambam. Ezel Kavod, halacha beis. Deshamer chachamim mitzvah la'adam lirchotz panav yadav v'raglav. Mitzvah to take a shower. Mitzvah on Friday to take a shower. When we go into the shower, it sanctify everything. We shouldn't just say, oh, I'm so sweaty. It feels so good. No, we're doing a mitzvah. We're doing a mitzvah of Kavod Shabbos. That's what a shower is, number 1. Number 2, misate patzitzis, to wrap ourselves in a talis. In the days of old, the days of the Arizal, they used to go out into the fields, wrap themselves. The Gemara even mentions misatef, barb themselves in tzitzis. There are some Hasidic sects that wear talisim. On Friday night, Rav Pinkus says he always used to daven, and it's like to daven in a certain shtibel Friday night because they wear a talis. And then you can close off the talis and put the outside world outside and just be in his own world. Okay, but a talis. Number 2. Number 3, Yoshev Kavod Rosh, and sit with anticipation. Sit with anticipation, getting ready to meet the Shabbos. Being ready early and sitting and waiting. That's one that I must confess never happens in the Rosner house right now. I dream of the day that we will be able to be Yoshev Kavod Rosh Miyachel. Right now, as probably in many houses, up until the last second, there is hustle and bustle and busyness and showering and a lot going on in the house. Right before Shabbos, there's one family. They have 3 older girls. The youngest, I think, is like 18, 19 in the neighborhood. He's always ready for Shabbos 2 hours before. He's sitting. He invites me over. You want to come and have a beer and learn some Torah before Shabbos? I said, it's not, maybe I would love not have the beer, but I would love to, but it's not really reality if I want to keep my shalom bias and as Hashem, stay part of the family. But either way, but this is the dream. The dream that we should have is that if we're going to an important meeting, we don't rush in at the last moment, but we get ready for it. Yoshev U'Miyachel, number 3. So we take a shower, we wrap ourselves in tzitzis, we sip a Kavod Rosh, and they used to gather in groups on Erev Shabbos, getting ready to the boats to Bova Neitzi the Shabbos HaMalka. That's Rav Soloveitchik, or he points out, it's interesting that these 4 areas, how we get ready for Shabbos, washing, wrapping ourselves in a talis, sitting with anticipation and gathering in groups, there's another area of halacha that we get ready for that experience same way. And that, of course, is, I can't see all the pictures, but somebody yell it out. What other spiritual experience do we get ready for by wrapping ourselves in a talis, sitting with bated breath? What?
Mount Har Sinai?
Mount Har Sinai was a one-time thing. What about nowadays?
Yom Kippur.
Yom Kippur. Okay, what about davening? What about tefillah? We're supposed to sit sha'achas, get ready right beforehand. The Rambam talks about washing our hands, make sure our hands are clean. We have to wear a talis, tzitzis. Davening, we wear a talis. Gathering in groups, tefillah b'tzibur.
Right.
So Leitchik pointed out the same way that the halacha says we should get ready for Shabbos. It's how we get ready to daven. I gave you a couple of other Rambams to look at. Source number 9, Haras Hayadayim, washing one's hands. Tefillah, source number 10, right? Sitting, getting ready to sit. Tefillah shouldn't be like a burden. Wearing tzitzit, the Rambam says you have to wear tzitzit all the time, but for sure during davening. So what's the parallel? We get ready for Shabbos the same way we get ready for davening. It must be a similar experience. So maybe it's related to the famous Reb Chaim. This is definitely top 5 Reb Chaims in terms of Pirsum level. Reb Chaim in Hilchas Tefillah points out, he's answering a steer in the Rambam in one place, source number 12, the Rambam in one place tells us that you have to have Kavanah all Shmon Esrei, and if you don't, you're not Yotzei. And the other source, at least the first bracha, says Reb Chaim, there are 2 types of Kavanah that we talk about when it comes to Tefillah. One type of Kavanah is knowing what the words mean. Pirush Hamilos. Number 2 is recognizing that you're talking to God. Amida b'fnei Hashem. It's already in the Gemara. And Rashi on Daf Chaf Hey and Brachas, it's already in the Gemara. Davening is at Amida b'fnei Hashem. Not knowing what every word means, okay, at least the first bracha. But not knowing that you're davening, that's not just a din of kavanah, that's part of the definition of davening. If I don't realize that I'm talking to Hashem, I realize that I'm in that experience it's as if I didn't daven. The nired, the kavanah zu, eina midin kavanah, rakshu me'etzem maisa tefillah. Im ein libo panui, in a roetz atzmo, shomein lefnei Hashem u'mispalel, ein ze maisa tefillah. B'chlam misasek, ein bo din maisa. And therefore it's ma'akev. So tefillah is talking to God. That's what tefillah is. Said Rav Soloveitchik, maybe that's what Shabbos is. Shabbos is a 25-hour-a-week intense experience that we get to be one and have yichud with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We get ready for it the same way. And we just have to experience it that way. Tefillah is an opportunity. Tefillah is a privilege, just like Shabbos is. And we have to make the most of it. And that's what makes it so special, the experience of Shabbos. What about Yantif, though? Is Yantif also like this? So, L'chora, we just said, Shabbos, Yantif, it's similar. Yantif also has this special quality of being like Tefillah. We get ready for Yantif the same way we get ready for Shabbos. It's covered Shabbos, it's covered Yantif. Rav Soloveitchik pointed out there seem to be differences between Shabbos and Yantif, though, as well. Even though they're overlapping and they're related, there seem to be differences in between also. 3 questions. 3 questions Rav Soloveitchik asked. Question 1. Why is there Kabbalah Shabbos and not Kabbalah Yantif? Right? Sometimes it's even like we get to a Chol HaMoed, we're like a little, depressed. Where's L'chadodi? Where's L'kavit Kabbalah Shabbos? We miss it. Why is there no Kabbalah Shabbos? Why is there only Kabbalah Shabbos and not Kabbalah Yantif? Question 1. Question 2. The Mishnah tells us in Moed Katan. We know the halacha, but the Mishnah. The Mishnah in Moed Katan in source 15 tells us that Shabbos counts for a day of Shiva. And there's always a Shabbos in Shiva. Shabbos could coexist with Avelis. Yantif cannot coexist with Avelis. Right? Yantif breaks Avelis. Somebody's sitting Shiva and Yantif comes, even if he's sitting Shiva for an hour, breaks it. Somebody's in the after Shiva, it breaks Shloshim. Why is that? If Shabbos and Yantif are similar experiences, so what's the difference? Why does Shabbos count and Yantif does not? Okay, Tosfos says, because Yantif has Simcha. There's Simchas Yantif, and there's only Oneg Shabbos. It just begs the question, why is there Simcha on Yantif and only Oneg on Shabbos? Oneg is physical enjoyment. Simcha is inner pleasure. Okay, So why the difference? Why doesn't Shabbos have simcha? Why doesn't Yantif have oneg? Question 2. And the third question, and again, this section could also be given as a separate Dvar Torah, Shabbos versus Yantif. Third question, there are some sources, the Hagos Maimonios quotes, that your Yantif clothing should be even more expensive than your Shabbos clothing. It costs even more. Kan mashba sheyoser tovim you big day regel, you big day Shabbos. And one might think, why? Shabbos is the source. Chilul Mikra Kodesh. Why should that be true? So why is there Kabbalah Shabbos and not Kabbalah Yantif? Why does Shabbos not break Kabbalos and Yantif does? Why did the Yantif clothing cost more than the Shabbos clothing? So the Rav Soloveitchik explained there's a parallel problem that we have. We see differences between Shabbos and Yantif. There's a parallel problem that we have. We know that a shul, a Beis HaKnesses, is called a Mikdash Ma'at, based on a pasuk in Yechezkel. A little Mikdash. But there are a lot of parallels between Beis HaKnesses and Beis HaMikdash. A lot of parallels. The Mishnah in Megillah tells us on the next page, in source 18, you have to treat the Beis HaKnesses with respect, just like you have to treat the Beis HaMikdash with respect. You can't take a shortcut through a shul. You can't take a shortcut through Harabayas. There are parallels. But there are also differences. We take our wallets into shul, even though we have to leave our money belt outside of Harabayas. We don't wear shoes onto Harabayas. We wear shoes into shul. But 1 second, if the Kedusha of Beis HaKnesses is parallel to the Beis HaMikdash, then what's the difference? Why should Beis HaMikdash, so to speak, have different standards than Beis HaKnesses? Said the Rav Soloveitchik, said the Rav, Brachas Nun Daled, the whole secret of the whole sugya is 2 words in Brachas. 2 words in Brachas is the secret to the difference between Beis HaKnesses and Beis HaMikdash, and Shabbos and Yantif. Gemara wonders, asking about the certain halacha, on the second to last daf in Brachas, daf Samar Gimel, Rava says, you have it there, source 22, Ela Amar Rava ki beso. A shul is compared to your house. Ma beso kampadaria kaped inish, arakika amino lo kaped inish. Just like your house. You don't want people taking shortcuts through your living room. You'd wear shoes in your living room. So too your shul. You can't take a shortcut in, but you can wear shoes in. What does that mean? Shul is like your house. Said Rav Soloveitchik, shul, Beis HaKnesses and Beis HaMikdash are both places where we meet Hashem. The difference between them is who's the host and who's the guest. Who's going to who? Beis HaMikdash, obviously, Hashem is the host, it's Hashem's house. Asu li mikdash v'shachanti b'socham. We go to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so to speak, conceptually and physically. That's why it's a higher standard. Beis HaKnesses, we also meet Hashem, but the Beis HaKnesses, we're the home team, so to speak. We're meeting Hashem. Hashem comes to us. And therefore, there's a lower standard. That's ki beso, says Rava in Meseches Brachas. Using that parallel, says the Rav, maybe that's the difference between Shabbos and Yantif as well on a conceptual level. You know, Yantif has a lot of parallels to the Beis HaMikdash. There's a mitzvah of Aliyah L'Regel. To be in the Beis HaMikdash for Yantif. Yantif conceptually is we go to Hashem. We visit Hashem in Hashem's zone. That's why the begadim have to be more expensive, right? When you visit the president in the Oval Office versus visiting the or at the Downing Street, whatever it's called, right? Versus having the president or the prime minister in your living room. There's a different standard of dress. But they're both special. If Yantif is going to Hashem, the begadim are more, there's a special simcha when we go and are invited to HaKadosh Baruch Hu's presence at his house. That's Yantif. And there's no Kabbalah's Yantif because we're going to him. He's not coming to us. Shabbos, Hashem comes to us. Kabbalah Shabbos. and we're a little more relaxed. So the Hashem comes to us. And there's oneg, there's enjoyment, there's no simcha, but there's oneg. So Shabbos and Yom Tov are both days of intense experience being with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as we described, based on the tefillah parallel. The difference is who goes where, who's home and who's away. And maybe that's also hinted to, our third idea. That's also hinted to in this week's parsha. Shabbos being in and Shabbos being separate. Shabbos is part and Shabbos is a part of the Parshas HaMoadim. And that's the idea of Shabbos and Yom Tov. So we have number one, Rav Moshe Feinstein, Bria and Ashkacha. Number two, we had Shabbos having an element of the Moadim also. And number three, we have the idea of Shabbos and Yom Tov according to Rav Soloveitchik. Who goes to who? Again, they both share something, and that is why Shabbos is in the Parsha of the Moadim, but it is also separated by another introduction. Okay, let's see the screen. Any questions?
Rabbi.
Comments? Yeah.
How did that answer the question of Shiva?
Shiva, there's a special type of simcha. Shiva is based on Simchas Yom Tov versus Oneg Shabbos. There's a special type of simcha that exists when we are invited to Hashem's home. And that simcha of being Lifnei Hashem in his home cannot coexist with Avelis. Regular Oneg, there's no issue of enjoying yourself, having a good meal when somebody's in Avel. You can have Oneg, but you can't have Simcha. Simchas Yom Tov is only otherwise. El, you want to take the sheets off so we can see everybody? Okay, any other question? Do you all see me when the sheets are on? You could all see me.
Yeah.
Okay, I just can't
We
see.
we see Rabbi in the bottom corner.
The bottom corner. Okay.
Right,
Okay, good. So that's some ideas in Yana Dioma Benemar. Yeah, Levi.
There's a question on the earlier part with the 4 elements of Shabbos about the wrapping yourself in talis. Is there an Indian of having a special pair of tzitzis for Shabbos?
There is. That's just generally everything on Shabbos should be different. Yes, you should have. It's a very good idea to have a separate pair of tzitzis for Shabbos. You get to make a bracha when you get out of the shower. You put on a new pair of tzitzis. You make a bracha, new bracha. So yeah, and it's also it makes you feel like Shabbos more. I remember during my Shana Aleph Shana. I don't remember. I started wearing the woolen tzitzis with the racing stripes. It was one of my years, but I remember I started getting it for Shabbos first. And it felt like when you put it on, you're like, oh, these are tzitzis. It felt like, it was something special. So I would definitely have a separate Shabbos pair for Shabbos pair of tzitzis, and not the same weekday pair. You have separate shirts and separate everything else also. Yeah, Avram.
Even if they're the same, basically the same baggage, you just have 2 of them, you still make a new bracha, even though it's not
Yes.
physically more
If it's a different baggage, you make a new bracha. Yes, Avram.
The concept about us going to Hashem for Yom Tov and Hashem coming to us for Shabbos, how does that fit in with the fact that we make the Kedusha for Shabbos, for Yom Tov, but Hashem makes the Kedusha for Shabbos?
Guys, that's a great question. I think even though those are the experiences, Hashem gives us the schus to set the time for the meeting. Hashem says, I'm ready for you to come. You just tell me when you're coming. Right, and that's why we get the set. Hashem tells us when he's coming to us. Because that's Zeichel L'Maaseh Bereishis. So he tells us. So I think it's interesting. It works in a little different direction, but I don't think it's contradictory. I think it could fit in. Yeah, Eli.
How did that answer the question of why Yom Tov cancels Avelis?
Because Yom Tov is Simchas Yom Tov. Simchas Yom Tov, a special simcha, the intensity of being in God's home cannot exist with the feeling of Avelis, which is all about feeling distant from God. Right, and that's that can't coexist. Yeah, Jonathan.
Do we paskin this way nowadays of should we have a separate big day Yom Tov?
If you have it, if you have one suit that you could save, but many people. There's one guy in my shul that only wears a suit on Yom Tov. So in Israel, you could do that. He never wears a jacket the whole year, but on Yom Tov, he wears a suit. Okay, I think if you're in the Chutz La'aretz, you still have to wear suits every Shabbos also. You shouldn't go down on Shabbos. You can go up on Yom Tov. But maybe a different tie. Nice to have something different on you. Okay? Good. So feel free.